And Peter, you start your latest story with this powerful line. President Biden and President-elect Donald J. Trump now agree on one thing. The Biden Justice Department has been politicized. So talk to me about the decision. And you've covered the president. You've covered both presidents and know this so well. And thanks for being with us. You must be jet lagged after an overnight flight.
Right. Well, listen, here in Angola, obviously, the pardon has followed President Biden. He's just landed here for a two-day visit that, of course, will be shadowed by his decision to absolve his son. But you're right. I mean, I think that one of the things that's striking about this decision is that he uses some of the same language that President-elect Trump uses about the Justice Department, complaining about selective prosecution, complaining that politics has infused the process. Now, that's not surprising for President-elect Trump. He's always tried to put politics into the questions of law enforcement. He used his first term to try to go after his enemies. He has promised to use the Justice Department in his second term to enact retribution. But what's surprising is President Biden, who's made a point of being the defender of the justice system, the one who says that it is, in fact, neutral and independent and not part of politics, is now, of course, saying that that's not the case, at least when it comes to his own son. That's a striking situation that will be used by Republicans as ammunition in the days going forward. See, even the president himself says the Justice Department can't be trusted not to take into account politics when it makes its decisions. And a lot of Democrats are upset about that. A lot of Democrats believe that the president, while understandable as a father to want to spare his son prison time, put his family's interests ahead of the country's.
And, Peter, just to be clear, the prosecutor was a prosecutor in the state of Delaware who had been held over as one of the few U.S. attorneys who was held over precisely by President Biden coming in to office to make sure that there was the appearance and the substance of non-interference from the White House in the ongoing investigation into his son.
Oh, absolutely. And this prosecutor had a special counsel status, which is designed to insulate him from politics. And the Justice Department has very, of course, strenuously denied that politics played any role in this prosecution or the prosecution of former President, now President-elect Trump. And, of course, these are very different situations. Hunter Biden has been prosecuted now, found guilty and pleaded guilty on relatively modest charges by comparison to what President-elect Trump has been accused of, who he's been charged with trying to overturn an election that he lost and endangering national security by taking classified documents that weren't his. But the fact is that Biden's language in his pardon statement attacking the justice system with regard to his own son will, of course, be used by his adversaries to justify whatever they decide comes next in terms of politicizing the Justice Department, because they'll say that they're simply doing what Joe Biden has said the Justice Department already does.
And I believe that Michael Bennet, the senator, Democratic senator from Colorado, following the lead perhaps of Governor Polis there, has come out against the pardons. Harry Litman, you've covered all of this, and the pardon covers all offenses starting back in 2014 with Burisma. That's the year that Hunter first joined the board of Burisma. That was controversial. He wasn't charged with anything regarding that. So the president seems to be protecting all of the possible Trump investigations, which have been promised, because Hunter Biden has been a real cause célèbre with Donald Trump and with the right wing for years. But counterintuitively, let me get I know your position on this from reading what you've been writing to us, because there is an argument that if not for the plea deal that fell apart because of a badly written plea agreement, leaving the judge little options because it put it all on her, the Delaware judge, if not for that agreement, most of these federal tax cases are not prosecuted if the tax is repaid. And he was an admitted addict, and he, violated the law by filing a gun application, not admitting to his addiction, which is also not something that is generally a criminal prosecution.
Yeah, look, there's more than an argument. There's a fact. Everything Peter says is right, and it is going to be something that that will make it harder for Democrats. You need to have two more sentences, though, and they're both true. The first is, as you rightly point out, it's not the Justice Department. It was this separate process of a independent counsel who didn't answer at all to the normal supervisory structure of the DOJ. And second, and again, Andrea, this is just a fact, he was subjected to far harsher treatment than the DOJ normally would provide. That's the classic case for executive clemency. Compare what Obama did in his last office. He commuted 300 sentences because the people, they were guilty, but they had received far harsher treatment than the system generally provides. So he said, look, we're going to commute. That's a standard reason to use clemency. It's true for political reasons. He's given them a bat to pound them and other Democrats with, but that doesn't speak to the fairness or orthodoxy of clemency here. It is down the middle under the clear facts of the case.
And let me just read you the criticism from Senator Bennett. I alluded to that a moment ago. He has, on social media, said President Biden's decision put personal interest ahead of duty and further erodes Americans' faith that the justice system is fair and equal to all. Temidayo, a Gallup survey shows trust and confidence in the judicial branch fell from 76% back in 2009 to only 48% this fall. Much of that may be caused by a lot of amplification of conspiracy theories by Donald Trump and his supporters and January 6th prosecutions and the like. But how problematic is it for the society if the public thinks the Justice Department is corrupt?
I think it's incredibly problematic, and I think Harry's right that Hunter Biden was treated more harshly here than he would have if he were Joe Smith. And I do think that President Biden's pardon is a kind of concession that the system is broken, that our institutions are not holding up, and there have been intervening events that support that. I mean, President Trump's intention to appoint Pam Bondi to head the DOJ, his intention to appoint Kash Patel to head the FBI. These are individuals who supported the idea that there was fraud in last election, that you should go after your political prisoners. And frankly, the intervening event of President Trump winning another term is itself, that's an acquittal by the American people of his own conduct, leading an insurrection against our democracy. So I do think it's a sad state of affairs that we've lost so much trust in our institutions. And President Biden, while I think he's doing the right thing here, it's a recognition that those institutions are not holding up and can't be trusted even with his own son. And that's something we all have to reckon with.
And Peter, would it have made more sense for the Bidens to see what Hunter's sentences would be starting December 12th and then issue the pardon? There would still have been time toward the end. For instance, if he had not been given jail time.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, look, this bypassed all the usual processes that are set up by the Justice Department for a pardon. You're not normally supposed to be even eligible for executive clemency until after you have served your sentence. And this is a different, obviously, situation. It's not the first time we've had a presidential relative, benefit from executive clemency, but it is the first time a son has been given a pardon. I think what Carol Lee reported is actually pretty important to remember. If, in fact, what her people are telling her is correct, that President Biden had always kept this on the table, even while he was publicly saying he had ruled it out, that raises all kinds of other questions as well. What changed between June, when he said no, he wouldn't consider a pardon, and today, when he said yes, he would? Karine Jean-Pierre was asked about that on Air Force One on the way in here to Angola, and she said, well, he wrestled with it. Well, he wrestled with it, that's fine, but he was wrestling with it in June, presumably, as well. And what's changed, of course, is there's been an election since then. I think that, obviously, the most important motivator here may be the part where we said that he is worried about what Trump's Justice Department might do with his son in the next administration, and that's why he gave such a sweeping set of immunity here to his son for any crimes committed over the last decade, not just the ones he's actually been convicted of.